when my artist got signed to Def Jam, we were giving our producers 50% of everything because I had mistaken what mechanicals actually work.
Okay. We got to keep it now. with the cat break.
Peace, what's going down? It's DJ Payne 1. I'm here with the whole team, Dame Ritter and Aaron Knight. This is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. Good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever sort of time you're in. I acknowledge there are maybe other dimensions, and so I have no idea. How's everyone feeling? I see Aaron's drinking water. I see Dame is wearing the LA hat. Life is good. Actually, damn, I need like some kind of Wisconsin. I got to represent the minority here.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, you're not repping. I'll be honest, like I'm a little frustrated today, this morning. But overall, I'm good. I mean, I think in this industry and in life in general, we go through ups and downs, and people can piss you the hell off by doing really dumb things, saying really dumb things, not being accountable, all these type of things. You deal with a lot of different types of people in the industry. There's a lot of good people. I never want to paint that picture, but a lot of people can frustrate the shit out of you by doing a number of things. And I'm going through a bit of that this week with a few people. So
I went on a rant like that last night. I think it was because of the clip that I posted to the MEC Instagram about Beyonce's track having 24 writers due to the sample and the co-writers and co-producers, because I just wanted to acknowledge, it just all hit me at once how weird the business we're in truly is and how many weirdos are within it, and then simultaneously acknowledging how amazing it is that this is the business we're in. What an odd space to be in. It'd be like, working as a lawyer and your office space is a handball court. It just doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, some of the comments weren't like the whole, I'm not going to get into it, but just one of the comments, or many of the comments were like, see, Beyonce having 24 writers, that's why I don't sample. And it's like, it's a Beyonce record. What are you talking about? You don't have a Beyonce record. You actually don't have a career, period. Why are you on here leaving these masturbatory comments, bigging yourself up for not getting a Beyonce?
What word was that? What word was that?
Masturbatory. Masturbatory is the word. Oh my, this cat is destroying my life. You know what a masturbatory comment is? It's like when I talk about anything sample related, the majority of the comments are going to be like, see, that's why I don't sample. It's always people talking about what they do or don't do, when that was not even, it's not helpful. It doesn't add to the conversation. It wasn't warranted. It wasn't solicited. It's just like if a woman posts a selfie from a gym and she's like, look at my ab progress. Well, I wouldn't fuck you. It's like, no one gives a fuck. No one asked you that shit. Sit the fuck down, bro.
Payne giving me new words. Aaron was probably all up on that. She probably knew that.
Aaron's used that word before. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I haven't, but I did laugh as soon as you used it. I'm like, wow, what a poetic way to say such a disgusting phrase, because it's not even the fact it's masturbatory to me is so self-serving. So I feel like that was such a poetic way to say a ruthless thing. So cool. Kudos to you.
There we go. Appreciate it. Shout out Payne for expanding my vocabulary this morning. I don't know how to spell it. I'm gonna have to look it up because I can't be using words that I can't spell. It won't be in my
See, that's an amazing rule. I think a lot of people should stick with that rule.
I can't spell shit, so
oh, never mind.
I can't stick with that rule because I wouldn't be saying anything.
Okay, right, present company included. I know that I appreciate all of your respective intellects. Let's just leave it at that.
Let's jump into it. Lots of news surrounding tours in the past few weeks. There was an artist, and I forget his name. Name doesn't even really matter, but there was an artist from Louisiana. They canceled a tour because only 85 tickets are sold, and there was like a comment on the article. I guess he said, I guess kids are going back to school or something, but he didn't want to perform. We got to keep it now. With the cat break.
Oh man, I don't want to talk about it.
What was it? Was it? I'm gonna stop laughing. If it's important, I'm gonna stop laughing. But if it's just like a random ass vase, then I'm gonna keep laughing.
It was basically a random ass vase, but now I just have shards of sharp ceramic all over the ground. She's at this like rocket ship stage of her life where instead of walking to a space, she propels herself like a rocket. So here we are.
Well, we can cut this, but I need that footage though. I need. All right, so there's been a lot in the news or in the media just about touring and shows lately. There was a Louisiana artist a couple of weeks ago that canceled a show because only 85 tickets were sold. He was disappointed. I think he thought that maybe going back to school or people being preoccupied with going back to school was maybe the issue, but he canceled, didn't want to perform in front of 85 people. DaBaby just canceled a show because only 500 tickets or less than 500 tickets were sold. And then Russ canceled an entire European tour citing mental health issues. Now, I know that in these three instances, there probably could be a lot going on. Each one is different, but wanted to get your guys' feedback. Maybe just starting with the Louisiana artist that canceled a show because only 85 tickets were sold. Aaron, would you have canceled a show? I don't know what the size of the venue was. I don't think he's that big of an artist. But if you only have 85 tickets sold, let's just say it was a 300 person venue, 500 person venue. Say the capacity is 500, 85 tickets sold. Are you canceling that show?
So, no, but I don't run major production on shows. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so I doubt that he did too, because again, we don't know his name. I just tried to look him up. I read the article, but I can't remember who he was. I'd never heard of him. He probably has a regional following. I think he has like 1 million streams on several songs. So I think the perception was that he was going to sell it out. One, I think that no, I'm not going to cancel the show, but I'm also not going to. I'm very intentional about the spaces that we book. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I know the market and I have the metrics. And if 85 people had pre-bought tickets to the show, my assumption, I feel like I would have been like, we probably are going to sell 100. Now, everybody strikes out, including me. I struck out this weekend at an event that we were vending at. So I'm not saying that it's foolproof, but 85 people is close to 1/10 of a critical mass, right? A critical mass is 1,000 people willing to spend $100 on you. If you have 1,000 people willing to spend $100 on you, you probably have multiple other people willing to spend lesser money on you, right? So now you can make a full-time career with just 1,000 devoted fans, right? So for me, every time I look at a fan base or going in front of people, I'm looking at how close are we getting to a critical mass. If it's a 500 cap venue and I still show up for the 85, first of all, if you can't sell it out, those 85 people are probably your real fans because they're just there. You know, put on the show of a lifetime. Maybe shorten your set. Maybe take off one of the openers that you were going to pay. You know, you don't have to give them the 500 person set, but make them feel special. Like, that's ridiculous to me. I did a speaking gig 2 weeks ago. There was only like 20 people there. They brought me in. I thought I was going to speak to like a big group of people. They brought me in just to speak to their staff. So I'm sitting in like their like facility, 25 people there. I thought that shit was cool. I'm like, cool. numbers aren't a thing for me if I know what my goal is. My goal is impact. My goal is to be brought back consistently. And if the promoter promised you the money, you still got to make the money, right? Even if you're, I don't know. I just feel like go make the fans. Now, DaBaby is a different situation. I know he runs production, and he was at the Smoothie King Center. The Smoothie King Center, I looked it up, holds 17,791 people. I 100% would cancel that show. Do you know what I'm saying? But I feel like if I was DaBaby, I would be on a promotion campaign. I would have been rallying my core fan base, because you've already pissed off the industry. You've pissed out a considerable amount of Black women. You've pissed off the entire LGBTQI community. So if you are dead set on proving that you still have fans, prove it. You can't do this. Well, I'm gonna let the promoter do his thing. I'm gonna still make ridiculous TikToks and put out music videos and call it a day. No, now you got to change your direction. You got to go back and prove to people that whether I stick my foot in my mouth or whatever, I have diehard fans, which I know he does. His videos still going up. He still has the metrics to show that he has diehard fans, but he's not proving it when it comes to the live show. You cancel too many arena or stadium shows, Live Nation's not booking you no more in those. They're moving you down to the club dates. So I'm saying DaBaby, again, is dead set on proving that his career is not going to falter. That's fine, but that means that his momentum has to shift to him spending more energy on cultivating the fan base. Same like when he was at South by Southwest 2017, 2016, walking around in a diaper. He may have to go put the diaper back on, or so to speak. You know what I'm saying? You got to go back and get hungry. You can't be like, I'm this record chart topping artist. No, artists are lazy, and that's what I'm going to say. And kind of leads into the tweet that I know we're going to discuss, but people think because they have an established fan base, they can just do whatever and it's still going to come back to them the same way it did. The landscape of the music industry is changing daily. People's consumption habits are changing daily. You have to move with the times or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit a ton of great points. Payne, do you have anything to add to either of those? We'll get, because I think the Russ thing is separate. So either DaBaby or the rapper from Louisiana, like how are you approaching those situations?
Well, number one, shit happens, and that's just how it is, right? I personally, I would not have canceled. So just to give more context, the name of the artist from Louisiana is Autumn. Autumn ! Right? And Autumn was on an entire tour. This just happened. Now the cat is playing with the shards of the vase that she smashed.
We'll be cleaning up glass and a little bit of paw blood in a second.
So far, so good. Yeah, and it makes me uncomfortable. I'm probably going to cut myself. She'll be fine. So this was the last stop on his tour. So he had an entire tour, and at the very end of it, he was supposed to play in Atlanta. That was the last stop, and that's where the tour that he was supposed to perform at canceled. Aaron, do you know this spot, Believe Music Hall?
Okay, yeah. It's like...
So like 900 capacity, right?
I say they have a way to make it like 500, but it's almost 1,000 cap. Okay, I mean, I kind of get this because Atlanta does not play. We are not fucking with you if you are not. You know what I'm saying? Like we can do free stuff here, like really dope free stuff, and there's hella rappers here. So you really gotta, and we do experiences here. Atlanta doesn't even really do concerts no more. That's why I tell people I don't even tour no more. It's like, so if you just throw a concert, I get it. I would have just hit up another local venue. I would have talked to Believe. You know what I'm saying? I would have just downsized the venue. Atlanta is the biggest A market in hip hop in the world. I'm not passing on an Atlanta show because Atlanta makes you earn your stripes. So yeah.
I played a show in Atlanta and there were probably about 100 people there on our tour. But it was at a smaller venue. I mean, so the planning was good. That was on one of me and Soul's tours. And I just think there are a lot of factors. I mean, probably Believe Music Hall was not the appropriate venue from jump, right? So there's that factor. But then there's also, like you said, the communication factor. right? How can you salvage the situation without canceling? Change of venue probably would cause more problems than solutions, especially after tickets were already pre-sold. It's kind of like you just have to bite the bullet. I mean, what's the goal of touring? I think if it were a one-off show, I would feel differently about it. But because it's the end of the tour, you kind of just don't want to end the tour on a sour note. And the artist is getting a bunch of press for ending the tour prematurely. That's unfortunate for them. Now, I understand not wanting to play, and this is 85 pre-sold. There may have been an additional 30 or 40 or 50 walk-ups, right? So,
or double that. Atlanta
or double that.
You know, we don't like to pre-sell anything.
Nobody does. Rap fans don't do pre-sale very well for the most part. So that's just how it is. And I think it could have been salvageable. I think canceling, I guess I don't know the numbers, right? If the artist stood to lose money on it, I'd say you really have to do a cost benefit analysis on what the damage to be done would be to the reputation of the artist and to the fan base in Atlanta. But also, you know, if you're losing thousands of dollars, all right, fine. But maybe they explored other options with the promoter. I don't know what the deal was. If I'm performing on a tour in someone else's city, I didn't directly book it. I didn't spend money on the venue. That's a promoter. So maybe the promoter canceled it. Who knows?
Okay, but then they're a bad promoter. Here's exactly what I would have done. I would have emailed all 85 people and said, congrats, you just got invited to the VIP experience. Then I would have showered the city with free tickets. I would have made the show free so he could sell merch and I can get the bar. And then I would have told Believe, hey, the ticket sales are going terrible. Either you let us take a cut of the bar so that y'all don't have a complete, because they've already paid the deposit. Believe has covered their costs. Either we're canceling the show or we can all have a night that's full of people drinking. I would have had him hit every one of his Atlanta homies to post as if they're pulling up on the guest list. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people work with shitty ass promoters. I just came up with that with the information that you gave me. Like, it is not rocket science to get people in a building. Do you know what I'm saying? And now those 85 people, you say, oh, we sold out VIP. You get the footage of it. You tell all of them, because you're in VIP, you get 3 free people who can come into the show with you now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's 400 people right there. And then you give away another 1,000 tickets. Maybe another 300 people show up. You have 700 people in a venue who possibly have never heard of this artist. And now you're selling merch. I just think people are lazy and have no imagination.
So I definitely think they could have gotten more creative, but I just want artists to know, like, even if a show is free, it's hard to get people out their house. Like, I want people to know, like, how difficult it is to put on a show, because I think we overestimate our capabilities, especially somebody like DaBaby now, because I think if you go to Spotify, he's probably got like 40 million monthly listeners, but that is more so driven by the label. Though that's not driven by like true fans. So like his 40 million monthly listeners is probably different. You can't read that much into it in terms of how many of those people are going to come to a show, right? Because the label is boosting that up. And like Aaron said, he's been pissing a lot of people off. So it's like, this dude has a bad attitude. Like, I think a lot of people just have stopped to like him as a person or a personality, and he's got some damage control to do. And that's going to take some time for some people. Even if some people like his music, they'll probably be like, man, I ain't going to a show though. That dude's, but so for the 85 tickets, what I want to say, every artist fan base is different. Like, we always had a big walk-up crowd. Like, so if we pre-sold 85 tickets at that point where we were, like, in with Funk Volume, like, that probably would have meant we were gonna sell like 300 to 400 tickets that night. But every artist, you have to learn your fan base over time, and kind of how they purchase. And then if you don't like that, then you have to kind of change your marketing strategy, your outreach to try to get more people to buy in advance. Because obviously it would be ideal if you can sell out a show on announcement. And then the last thing I would say is, no matter what you think you can do, like, use a venue that's smaller, right? It's always better to sell out a small venue than to leave like hella tickets unsold in a larger venue. You want to create a story of a sellout so that next time around, like, yo, I got to get tickets because this shit might sell out. Right. And it tells promoters like, oh, this artist is popping, maybe we should book them in our city because they're selling out in these other cities. I just, a lot of times we think we can do these bigger rooms. If you think you can do 1,000, like, just book the 600 cap room, right? Sell that joint out. And the next time around, if you really could do 1,000, or maybe now it's 2,000, you could do a theater or something like that. So yeah, so what about the Russ situation? He made a post, it read very genuine, mental health is real. Russ has never had a problem selling tickets to his shows. From what I've seen, they've all been packed. He does stadiums in a lot of cities. What are you guys' thoughts about his announcement that he's canceling the European tour?
Well, can I just point out too that right now, over the last year, has Russ Russ just got off a tour. And then in addition to that,
I mean, he's going worldwide with it. So he's got endless markets to tour.
Right. Well, I guess he just got off of a US tour, right? That was the tour he and Caitlin were on. And they were celebrating celebrating the success of Handsomer. That was a hit single. And in addition to doing all that, just being an artist, he signed Caitlin and LaRussell. They dropped music. It's just a lot.
LaRussell hasn't yet. I know Caitlin dropped the Big Mad record under Russ's label.
Well, LaRussell's just doing. Yeah. LaRussell's always working, but as far as just running a label, that's a lot of work in and of itself. And then to be touring and actively creating music, it's a lot. I wonder if it just, it was just too much. He was spreading himself too thinly.
Yeah. I mean, over time you learn kind of what things are really like. I think Hop didn't like touring, but I don't think he knew he would feel like that until he started touring. Right.
Yeah. And with Russ, I think Russ has
been around. Yeah, but he's done hella shows. Yeah, but he's got one. I'm not going to give that too much credence because he's got one artist that put out one song. It's not like, they're putting out, hella music. But I do think that touring, especially traveling the way he travels, like all over the globe, essentially, that could definitely wear on you. He's doing like bigger shows. I don't know what his show is like. Like, I don't know if he has like choreography that he needs. No, he doesn't dance. I know he doesn't dance. But I don't know what his show is like, but there's a lot of preparation. I'm sure there are, yeah, I don't know if he has fire or screen. I don't know what the show atmosphere is like. I've only seen like clips, and I think his message was genuine, and I think it was the right tone for canceling a tour. But I also think that there are a lot of people that use mental health because you can't challenge anybody when they say, look, I got mental health issues. Like, what are you going to do? You can't say, no, you don't. You know what I'm saying? So mental health is real. A lot of people have a lot of different, and mental health is like a huge umbrella. It could be so many different issues under, the mental health umbrella. So it's real, but I definitely think people take advantage of that excuse because you can't check them on it. So Aaron, did you read the post, or how do you feel about?
I just read it. And like you said, it's so hard. You can't check people on mental health stuff. He said a situation just happened with his family. I don't even want to pretend to doubt it. Like, prayers to him and that everything works out. I am somebody who struggles to have a mentally healthy state daily. You know, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's really hard. And if something difficult drops in and I'm already struggling or already stretched thin, it's like a bomb goes off because I don't have the capacity and the tools sometimes to process everything properly, which is why I go to therapy so often, you know? So I don't know. I hope everything works out for him. I know Russ can sell tickets, so I'm not even going to be like, this is a pump fake. But I do agree, you know, like Shawn Mendes canceled his tour for mental health. Chance the Rapper canceled his tour so he could rest and be with his wife. You know, like, I think Elton John recently had to cancel part of his tour. It seems like the industry standard is becoming saying something related to mental health or family, which I, again, want to clarify, I am not lumping Russ into this, but because he did that and a lot of people are destigmatizing mental health, which I think is, again, healthy, it's giving people an easy way out when they're not measuring the landscape of the industry right now. You know, it's just like things have changed. Trying to play massive arena tours or big club tours may not flow the same. You know, I follow Billboard touring, and it's like every Swedish House Mafia, I'm talking about big, like the top people in the industry right now. The only person that I see still selling out arenas is Bad Bunny. Right. He's on, like, they just said, what did he have, a $40 million night in Chicago a couple weeks ago? Like, this man is killing, but I'm not seeing anybody doing numbers like this. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that
we could do a whole show on Bad Bunny. Seriously.
Really,
what is going on with Bad Bunny? Can we study Bad Bunny? I have a story about Bad Bunny. Not him, but his fan base. But sorry. Yeah. Please continue.
No, it's cool. I'm just saying, prayers for Russ. I think the landscape of touring is changing. And I think that people, labels, touring agencies, if they want to stay relevant, like, cool, you guys got to change up your system. And if not, everybody's going to be, I made this prediction, I think last year on this podcast. I believe the future of touring is underplays. Very small venues, very intimate settings, premium prices, less touring, because people are getting tired. This mental health thing is real. Like, imagine every couple of weeks you having to go out for a month or two. You know, that's a big part of maintaining your fan base, maintaining your lifestyle. If you could think about a way to do less work, high impact, same money, that's why so many people are going to LA or Las Vegas for these residencies. What is the equivalent for smaller artists and independent artists? I feel like I've solved that. So I'm not nervous about this, but I think a lot of people got to pay more attention.
But I also think that like ticket prices have gotten out of control. These service fees have gotten out of control. We're currently in a recession. There's a lot of people that don't really have money to go to these shows. And some of these shows, especially these bigger artists, you know, you're going to have to spend $500 a person, you know, if you want something from the merch booth, you want a ticket, and, you know, refreshments, you're probably going to spend $500 to $1,000. And not that many people have that kind of money. So it's unfortunate. You know, I just don't like the direction touring is going. And again, like, I think we all agree that mental health is real, but I've seen artists be manipulative. I've seen PR companies help labels spin things. You know, even Hobson, like, don't get me wrong, Hobson has some mental health issues for sure. But when he left the show in Fort Collins and he made a song about it, you know, when you hear the song, he paints like he's a master manipulator. Like he painted this picture as if like he left the show and was in this abandoned building and all these things. And it's like, the reality was he didn't want to do the show and a girl picked him up. Like, you know, but he knows how to kind of flip it around and make it sound interesting. And then he made money off it, like with a song. And I'm just like, yo, this is out of pocket. Like, even I thought he was in an abandoned building until like a couple of years later, you know, you hear the truth. So F you to all the people that are manipulating like real, you know, manipulating their fans, you know, but I definitely want to shout out to the people that are going through real issues, and hope you get the help you need. But if you're taking advantage of that excuse, you're a clown. And I hope your career doesn't last long. So,
all right. Speaking of careers not lasting long, it's super important, right, to get the best possible information when you're building a music career. And there's an abundance of music business educational sources these days. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there weren't. There were, you know, you could go to a conference or two, maybe once a year. You could get a book, and those books, you know, like the Donald Passman book, it's being updated constantly. I would say, I mean, even 4 years ago, that's why the MEC was started, because I didn't feel like there was like enough solid platforms. Like, I think it was in the last 3 years where like hella people started giving out advice. But continue, my bad. Yeah, and a lot of people are giving out advice, most of it free, but a lot of it on these platforms, these premium platforms that you pay for. You know, in the producer world, there are a million different beat selling guides that you have to pay for, mentorship programs, and this and that. You know, the sad part is, if you don't know about the music business already, you could pay for one of these platforms, get access to the information, and the information could be bad. You would never know. It'd be like me paying a microbiology tutor. I don't know anything about microbiology. They could tell me anything. If they're lying to me, how am I going to know until I go out in the field and try it out and fail miserably? Then I'm going to be upset because they set me up for failure. Unfortunately, a lot of these music business educators out there are setting people up for failure. And we have to really learn how to be discerning when it comes to the information we consume, whether it's free, it doesn't matter, but especially if we're paying for it. And I had a disappointing interaction with Indie Amplify the other day. Indie Amplify, their slogan is for artists by artists, or at least one of their slogans. And I'll share the screen, because I was truly saddened by this. And it was this particular video. It was, producers want 50% of your song. Already it's clickbait, which I understand. I do the same thing. But it's very vague clickbait, right? So you think, anyone who knows the music business, the first question that's going to come to mind is 50% of what, right? Because we talk about, and I'm not going to turn this into a intellectual property lesson, but we know, and we've talked about this a bunch of times, that there are 2 copyrights to each piece of recorded audio. One is the master recording, one is the underlying composition. Each one of those, and there was a beautiful flow chart that was created by BeatStars Publishing that I shared a couple times, and thankfully me sharing it spread around the internet. But we know that each of the 2 copyrights generates multiple royalties. And each of those copyrights and each of those subsequent royalties can be split in different ways among the creators. So 50% of what? If you know about the music business, that's what you're asking. And you think, okay, this gentleman, because he's for artists by artists and he's running a whole music business education platform, he's going to articulate and further explain what 50% of your song means in the video, right? Well, he doesn't. It's this super histrionic video about, you know, producers, they want 50% of my song. Get the fuck out of here. Y'all are crazy. So already it's playing on this unfortunate paradigm of producers versus rappers. Now, I've talked about this before. You know, should producers get 50% on the master copyright? Because the master recording is what generates the most money in today's era, where streaming is the dominant source of income. Well, a stream favors whoever owns the master. So if someone buys a beat from me, should I be getting 50% of the master? No, I don't think so. I've conceded that. No, I don't think that's fair. I think there are fair splits. I think recoupment is a good option. Again, that's not what I want to talk about right now because I've talked about it a million times. However, in the comment section, Futuristic, who's the face behind Indie Amplify and who's the guy that is speaking in this video, says his video refers to mechanical royalties and publishing should be 50-50. Okay, so he cleared it all up. He's talking about he doesn't want to give half of his mechanical royalties to a producer, but he'll give them 50% of his publishing. Here's the problem. Mechanical royalties are publishing royalties. They're the same thing. So he doesn't know what mechanical royalties are, but he's teaching people about it. And yeah, you can see me being a dick here.
The fact that the fact that this is still up is I told him because I responded to his tweet. I think I tweeted because I think it was on Twitter too. I said, "Yo, next time you make a video like this, you should clearly draw a distinction between master royalties and publishing royalties." And it's just disappointing that that's still up, especially that comment. And I think it's up because it has 57 likes. And I think that is the problem that you probably have the most pain is look, we're supposed to be an educational platform and we're prioritizing views and likes over the actual, facts, right?
Yeah.
This clearly should have been taken. It should have. You should have just deleted
or
it. Even
post another video and be like, "Hey, I made a mistake. Let me fix this." If you're so fixated on the content.
Thank you so much for saying that. Because guess what the fuck Aaron did? Remember, and this was a pretty inconsequential mistake.
You're talking about Futuristic, not Aaron.
No, right? I'm talking about Aaron. So when we were talking about Spotify, Aaron misspoke and said you can incorporate, I think it was Eventbrite. You can integrate Eventbrite into your Spotify.
Bands in Town. But I was saying Bands in Town was the integration system.
Right, and it wasn't.
Actually, right.
Now, what are the consequences of an artist listening to Aaron? They're going to go on Spotify, try to integrate Bands in Town. They're not going to do it, and they're just going to shrug and move on. It's not going to hurt them. What are the consequences of a artist believing that master royalties are mechanical royalties? They could potentially lose a lot. For artists, by artists.
You could literally give away the most valuable thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like on the master or on the royalty side, if you have on the publishing side, if you have a misunderstanding, and I experienced this. I'm telling you, when my artist got signed to Def Jam, we were giving our producers 50% of everything because I had mistaken what mechanicals actually were. This is like me 5 years ago, y'all. This is recent. And I thought I had an understanding of master versus publishing, right? So we get into the conversation with Def Jam. One of his producers comes back and essentially says, "I want more." And we were like, well, we did paperwork. You know what I'm saying? I almost gave him too much because he wanted to dub the paperwork, which worked in our favor. We had to redo paperwork, but I was trying to redo it according to what we originally had. We still give our producers part of the master and the publishing just because our producers work off of no or little fee, right? We're independent, whatever. But if you don't understand the difference between both of the sides of ownership, well, it's a whole pie, but it's 100% of each. I don't want to confuse anybody. If you don't understand this, you could literally be giving away your future. This is a very major thing that in the comments was slightly recanted and was really. It was so callous. It was kind of like, "Oh, well, I meant to say this." That's That's like saying lava versus water. Like, you can't mistake those two, because when somebody sticks their foot in that lava thinking it's water, they're gonna die.
Yeah. So
Right.
Payne,
And Aaron, but when Aaron misspoke, immediately she posts a video saying, I was wrong. This is the correct information. This video is still up with the incorrect information. The comments still up with the incorrect information. People are spreading it. People are in the comments like, yeah, I feel you. I learned so much. And it's like, you learned what? Now you're going to walk into a situation where you are so confused, because not only are master royalties and mechanical royalties under two separate, distinctly different copyright umbrellas, but they're also collected by separate entities. So if you're trying to get paid on the master thinking it's the mechanical, and say you sign up for a publishing admin, you're like, cool, I'm covered. And you're not. So this is actual bad information that can affect people's careers, affect people's money, affect people's reputations. And it's just, the only, again, it goes back to what Dame said, the only reason I can think of that this person is disseminating this bad information and keeping it up is for clicks and likes and engagement. And then what does that say about the entire company? Like, people are paying money for these services. And I don't know. So I don't want to single Indie Amplify out. This is one example. A lot of people are doing this. And it goes like, look, everyone's human. I get it. When you make mistakes, take accountability. That's it. Because we're like, all of us, people listen to us too. If we mess up, we have to say something. If we don't say anything, that's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing for us to do, because there are people who don't know what we're attempting to teach them. And if we're filling their heads with bad, confusing, conflicting information, then we're responsible for whatever negative outcomes they experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of bad information out there, and that's why we started the MEC. But since we started the MEC, I've seen a number of like really good quality platforms emerge as well. And I think that's a great thing. Even though this education space has gotten kind of weird at times, like feeling like people like, I'm not competing. Like, we're not competing. We're not even selling anything. Like, we're not competing with anybody. I will amplify your platform if I feel like it's solid. There's a young cat named Jay Nolan who I think gives out pretty dope advice. And I just posted he has a new sync ebook, about, all about syncs. But I think he knows what he's talking about. He's selling it for $3. It's in our Instagram story right now. Probably won't be in our Instagram story when you hear this podcast. So just go to his page. I'm sure the link is in his bio. But information is crucial. Getting the right information is crucial. And the reason I have never put out a course is because I didn't want to look and that's probably, it's probably on my end. Like, we probably should have had a course a long time ago, something more tangible that people can experience. But I've just seen so many like salesy music business education people with all these. I was like, I can't look like that guy. So we've kind of just done what we've done. But yeah, you got to get good information. I don't think Indie Amplify has a lot of other stuff. I don't think. I know they're giving out information, so I guess you can classify them as a music business education platform. But I think Indie Amplify has video services, graphic design services. If you're looking to purchase a verse from an indie artist, kind of like a Cameo for verses. So they got other stuff. I don't know if they were ever meant to be, but they did get into the music business education space. So we have to be accountable. If we're giving out information, especially in this industry where it's kind of hard, where there's a lot going on. Things are constantly changing. So I do my best to stay up on what's happening. I'm reading, I'm constantly on Twitter. I follow, the bright minds in the industry, having conversations with smart people just to kind of figure out, just to make sure that what we're talking about is correct and current. So, if you're giving out music business advice, just make sure that you're doing the same thing, because this industry is always evolving, even though this example is like the oldest shit you can talk about in the music industry.
Right.
Like,
it's the most basic concept. It's the basis of the music business. And if you can't get that right, then that scares me, because granted, you're absolutely right, Dame. However, the very first featured category on Indie Amplify, if you scroll down, is education. They're talking about their free education videos, and then their paid resources like contracts, checklists, books. That just makes me nervous. That's all.
You just have to be thorough, because obviously Futuristic has been a successful independent artist. There's a lot to learn from his experience, and he knows a lot about the music industry, but he doesn't know everything. So if you dive into these topics where where he's probably paid less attention to them, you got to be thorough if you're going to do music business education shit. And that's why we have guests. Like, I'm not a guru at every topic, but that's why we have guests to fill in those gaps. I got a great network, though. There's no question that I can't get answered. I might not know it myself, but there's no question that I can't get answered in a solid way that will serve the independent community. And that's why we bring on guests to fill those gaps.
And there are three of us to begin with, and we don't always agree.
Right.
I was just about to say, there's accountability here. We have three industry experts, but it's like, we just can't be firing shit off. When somebody's sitting by themselves, and I'm not saying, because if I put up a video, I don't want people to be like, well, she's by herself, she's probably lying. But with a platform like ours, it's less likely that we're letting like fraudulent things fly, because there's a checks and balance system, like none of us are just going to let the other person be like, yeah, this is how business works. Like, it may be how it worked for you, but that's not the industry standard.
Right. Yeah, because even the time that you guys are referring to, I think I texted you because a fan alert, I don't want to call her a fan, a woman that follows me named Kim kind of alerted me that, hey, I don't think it's Bands in Town. I think it's, actually, I don't even remember what it was. So what is the right?
It's Songkick.
Songkick, yeah. So that's when I hit you. I was like, hey, Aaron, are you sure that it's Bands in Town? There's a young lady in the comments saying that it's something different. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with like saying my bad. Like, we have to make that normal again. Actually, I don't know if that was ever normal, but like, people are so reluctant to just say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I apologize. Like, those words are so rare. But you should feel so much better when you say those things. Like, how do you feel better, like letting a lie or letting something that's wrong ride versus just saying my bad and correcting your mistake?
Therapy. I swear. I think
then you have to double down on everything and keep telling the lie. That's the crazy thing. I don't want that responsibility.
Yeah, that shit feels it's a terrible feeling. I think like that is a terrible feeling. Then to just get it off your chest and be like, hey, I apologize, but here is the correct information. And you'll get so many more likes in the future even if you care about likes, like people will respect you more. So even if you got a lot of likes on a lie for a second, eventually you'll get exposed if that's your strategy.
And that's not saying life in general, though, like relationships, friendships, the workspace, if it's not even in the music business, just accountability. The person that admits they're wrong, I don't know. There's this idea out there that accountability is weakness, and I think that stems from
flip it.
What?
No, accountability is a strength.
I agree, but there's this idea. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I can't admit that I'm wrong in front of all these people because, I got to double down on my life so that I can puff my chest out and be like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm right. You're wrong. I got to be right. Because if I'm right, I'm strong. And it's like, no, when you're when you're truthful, you're strong, because then you learn, then you show that you're a true leader, because leaders don't lie. Leaders don't lead people in bad directions. Leaders lead people in the right direction. And if they need to correct their course, that's what they do. So how many people do we deal with at our jobs, on the street, in our relationships, that just can't say, you know what, I was wrong? How many relationships have you been in where, like, you say, hey, I don't like the way you talked to me yesterday. Well, I don't like the way you talked to me 3 weeks ago. It's that type of shit. And it's insufferable. Don't bring that shit to the music business, please. I mean, and if you're experiencing that in your personal life, get away from that person for your own sake. And if you're the one doing it, and I've definitely been the one doing it, trust me, I've done that. Get therapy, because there's something going on, and it's a beautiful thing to be proactive about addressing those kinds of habits, because they're harmful.
And most people who are most people who don't want to be accountable or just be like, oh yeah, that's right, my bad, they're the quickest to be like, you did this and this and this and you're so wrong. Like, they're the least gracious people. They're the quickest to find a tiny flaw, and I'm saying this because I deal with artists like this every day. I have too many people that I'm responsible for me to not say, I say my bad all day. I move fast. I'm like, oh, we need to do this, this, and this. Oh, y'all should have done this. And my team's like, we already did this. You're behind. My bad. Keep it moving. They're not taking it personal because they know my goal is for us to get somewhere and not for me to be right. But I think people are so people's egos are so fragile. And I don't know, like you said, like childhood trauma, whatever, you feel like any type of criticism, even if somebody's mean to me, and I'm not welcoming people to be mean because I do not enjoy it. But if you're mean to me, but your criticism is right, I may not enjoy your delivery, but I'm not going to snap back. I just probably won't respond to you, but I'm like, oh, maybe they're right. I shouldn't have, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think people's pride gets in the way. There's so much to learn in this industry, and there's so many opportunities to be wrong. Why do we feel like being wrong is, like you said, negative? It's not negative. It's just an opportunity for you to grow. So fail fast, apologize, keep it moving. That's a part of being great.
Yeah, and I know the conversation just went in more like, not necessarily talking specifically to Indie Amplifier Future. This is more just kind of general, advice for the people listening to this podcast. But yeah, I know we were going to get into another topic, but we're close to an hour, if not already there. So we'll punt it to next week. But I wanted to talk about from a management perspective, like how much artists know about what their managers are doing for them on a daily basis. I think that'll be an interesting conversation that we can queue up next week, unless something crazy happens that we have to talk about, which could happen.
It could. Well, we appreciate you tuning in this week and next week. This is the MEC podcast. Join the Excellence Academy. How do they do that, Aaron?
You can go to my bio. There's a link, or you can just type in theexcellenceacademy.biz. And we are music education, same like the MEC, just more of a closed community. So you can talk to people daily. We have a group chat. We meet every other week. And I'm teaching you how to make money as an entrepreneur in the music industry.
And Payne and I still haven't gotten invited. And you know what I think it is, Payne? I think
y'all
that's
are
where
invited. Here's your invite.
I bet you that this is where she goes to talk shit. She probably takes clips from the podcast and then puts them up in the Excellence Academy when they have their live, and it'd be like, this is when Dame said this, and this is where he's wrong. I swear, Dame said there's no talented R&B artists. Look at all these R&B. Look at all these R&B
I
artists.
got so many DMs about that. People I didn't even know watched the MEC were hitting me like, yo.
That was a popular debate.
R&B, was. If you haven't watched last week's episode, go watch last week's episode.
So, but I mean, so you did send me quite a few talented artists, but it's still not what I'm talking. It's still not what I'm talking about in terms of like how artists were grooming themselves, a couple decades ago. There are a lot of artists with great. Changed. The style has changed, but is that because they're not being groomed, or is it because that's what people want, right? Because now there's like this emo R&B, and we have more flexibility of what artists can be. You don't have to reach a certain standard, but I'm sure that not to go back into this argument, but I'm sure that like we could get more polished artists for those that are willing or want to be surrounded by the type of support that used to be provided a couple decades ago. So I acknowledge that there's definitely talented, and you sent me some dope ones that I wasn't familiar with. And I think that's what's cool about music today is like, there's so many people making music. You're definitely not on everybody. Like I could send you people that you've never heard of that have 1 million monthly listeners. Like, and there's a lot of that going on Spotify and, but that just also should let artists know like, hey, you got a shot at making this a career because there's a shitload of artists out there doing it that nobody even knows about. They just have their little cult following. And somehow it kind of stays in a vacuum, but they're killing it. So anyway, and I know Payne, you still have your Looped In show on BeatStars, right? So
I made 4 beats on the last episode. So if you want to get alerted every time that goes down, Dame, let them know how to. I'll send you a text personally.
All you need to do is text MEC to 844-206-7800. And I'm considering starting another live where we listen to music that we potentially put out through BeatStars Records. Maybe I won't commit to like a weekly thing. Maybe I'll just do a trial run. I'm thinking of hitting up DJ Head because he already has like his little honest feedback sessions on Twitch. Maybe I'll just be a guest on his show first to listen to music and see how it goes. But if I do that, we'll post about it on Instagram or send out a text. So
sounds good. Well, I got to clean these shards of ceramic up. Till next time, appreciate all of you.
Hey, you ain't heard nothing from the cat since that happened. So I hope the cat's okay.
No, look at her. She's passed out.
Oh, that is her. Okay. It passed out or?
She passed out. She had a great time. She enjoyed tearing up my studio. I should wake her up just as payback.
Please
wake
move.
up, play this shit up.
Make me feel better. Move. Like do something. Like okay, it's alive. All right, y'all. Till next time.
Looking like she didn't just do that.
See y'all soon.
Peace.